Yeah, so man, you know what? Let's get on. Let's talk about zombies, right? The Walking Dead, the Living Dead. Because what does it mean for someone to be a zombie? Well, a zombie person is someone who's drained of their life force. It's someone who's drained their energy. It's someone that doesn't have energy to give to their purpose in life because their whole awareness, their mind is going towards feeding the matrix and stuff like that, right? So they develop this like zonk in their eyes as if they have nothing to look forward to because they don't have anything to live for. They're living for this material world. They're living for this flesh. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being in the material world or living in the flesh and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, we're all in a fleshly suit. We're all in 3D. We're all in carbon as spirits, as a mind and stuff like that, right? But at the end of the day, if your whole life you're living for density type of shit, like your whole mind go towards density and shit, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're constantly giving your mind to this world and stuff like that. This world is gonna drain you because at the end of the day, this world is always showing your limited possibilities of it. So it's like when you go to work and you see everyone being a zombie like that, it's like they believe that that's the only way to live their life. So they give their mind, they give their energy to that job is sucking their soul. You know, you could have a spouse that doesn't life or doesn't add value to your life, that's constantly draining you. Eventually these things that we are giving our mind to, eventually these things that we are giving our flesh to, these start to drain us heavily, meaning that, you know, we're constantly finding ourselves putting our mind, putting our energy, putting our time, putting our awareness in things that, you know, don't necessarily what's it called, don't necessarily give us life, meaning that we're just giving ourselves death and shit like that, right? Because at the end of the day, a person is always dealing with themselves, right? And if a person is being a zombie, you know, they're constantly going to be entertained. They constantly need shit outside of them. They constantly need shit of the world, right? Where people's minds is literally fixated and stuck on what the world has shown them so far. So they start to think like, okay, well, this must be the only way for me to live my life. This must, you know, it's not like, because fate is what you create at the end, right? Like fate is what you create, right? So a lot of people feel like they're fated to go to work and shit like that, but it's just about people not creating circumstance, people not creating their own situations, people not putting in, taking the time, putting the energy, putting in the effort, putting in the awareness and some shit that make them happy, right? Because a lot of shit that can make a person happy, and it's a lot of shit that can make a person unhappy, but in that which people will often choose to do things that make them unhappy because that's one of the only things that they perceive is like, because you can make a covenant with yourself about being unhappy and giving that logic and making that okay for things to be that way. But see, that's like us using the mind to rationalize with a reality that we may not even want to experience. And if we're generating that reality, that also means that, okay, we're subjected to some beliefs ourselves that cause us to be okay with being in that paradigm, being in that reality, right? Let's say for example, if someone is at work and they're not being paid the amount that they believe is worth. Okay, well, the industry can decide a standard, the government standard, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to have a standard of how much you want to get paid, right? If you're going to invest your time and energy in that day, in that corporation, you should be able to negotiate how much are you personally worth, right? A lot of people don't speak into don't speak into reality the shit that they want to experience, the shit that they speak into reality, the shit that they give their awareness, their time and energy to, just be the shit that's already placed for them by, you know, you can use the shadow government, blah blah, you know, that people believe they gotta do. Like people believe that relationships have to be conducted in a certain way. People believe that, hey, I have to go this many hours to work every day. But that's just us creating a contract with the reality, right? And then like when you give that reality all your energy, all your time, all awareness, and that becomes your life, and you have normalized that shit and you have conditioned yourself to accept that shit to the point that like, okay, now like this is life. You could call it fate, you could call it whatever you want to, but it's just some shit that made okay in our own mind that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna constantly give my energy to mediums that are not giving me any returns. Like when we get on the internet, ideally the internet should be used for your purpose type of shit, to share information, to articulate forms and shapes and put these things in, you know, sentences or whatever it is that you do, you know. But a lot of the times these things are used to, we give our time and energy into these things because we're looking for like Well, if you're on your phone all the time, for example, it's like looking for that dopamine feedback, look for that dopamine hit, looking for that next experience, but on that video screen. And your mind can't tell the difference between that video screen and real life. So when you're on your phone all the time, when you're on video games and shit like that, that's like that cheap fix rather than actually going and seeking out your own experiences, creating your own experiences. See, it's like a lot of the times life is already created for us, and we jump into the things that were already created for us, and then we make peace with the reality that was already created for us, right? Like when you're born, you're given a name, you're given a religion, you're given all these different things, but people give their energy to these things and not really giving them much back in return. So what if people just took their energy and their awareness and their time out of these things, and they started to put that shit into something else that was actually more rewarding for them, right? But it's just that since the whole world is on this zombie flex, where like the first thing that's normal to do is to go on your phone and to scroll through social media. The thing is, once you start developing these behaviors, these behaviors that you start to treat as your everyday life, and you don't know how to detach from that shit, where you become too solidified into a schedule and routine, then it becomes really difficult, because you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, damn man, being a zombie, but you might be on your way to being a zombie your damn self, right? So it's like, what creates this zombie behavior? It's this unconscious, subconscious ability to just look at your own pattern to yourself and be like, why am I so invested into that behavior that's making into a zombie? Because if you know someone is sitting down all day watching TV and they're not adding any time and energy into their purpose, or is that, you know, they want to see flourish, then why are we empowering behaviors that actually disempowering us from living a life of purpose? Because at that point, the observer of that mind is you know, being subjected to that subconscious pattern, that subconscious wiring, that they're not you know, fully invested into creating a new pattern, creating you know, looking at things from a different angle, you know, having a new mind and stuff like that, right? That's why sometimes these Bibles talk about the same things that we're just talking about right now, you know? It's like one verse in the Bible says some shit like, you can't put new wine in old wineskin. Meaning you can't put new thoughts and feelings in an old mind, because that old mind is gonna kind of like transmute those new thoughts and feelings into that same old qualities. If you were lazy to yourself about, man, I'm gonna be devoted to my purpose, I'm gonna be diligent, then you gotta understand that that old mind is gonna try to fight you and try to convert your current of energy, your current of thoughts and feelings into something that's gonna go towards the direction of, you know, being a zombie and being lazy. Because if that's the behavior you've been subjecting yourself under, knowingly or unknowingly, and you've been psychologically conditioning yourself for this your whole, all of a sudden you're trying to make a switch, you're trying to make a change because you got a stroke of morality now, or whatever it is, you know, your own mind, your own body's gonna fight you, or you might experience these reactions, these things that come up from you and stuff like that, as far as feelings, thoughts and stuff like that. But all these things are just different facets, aspects of you that observer, that person hasn't dealt with yet. Because there's a reason why someone is so invested into being a zombie and not doing their purpose in life. They might, whatever they're doing in life is not gonna work. So what's the point of me trying to jump purpose, trying to be a greater person? Why not just subject myself to the pattern that the whole world has already shown me? Because that's going to be the easier thing to do. You don't have to sit on the couch and let yourself get programmed by a bunch of information, a bunch of awarenesses from the, you know, the TV media or whatever. That doesn't take any type of work. You have to sit your ass down and let yourself get programmed. That doesn't take any type of effort. See, the mind itself is going to seek comfort. The mind itself is going to go towards comfort and shit like that, right? And that's going to be the easier thing to do. So people that are being zombies are probably subconsciously, unconsciously seeking out more comfort than uncomfortable situations. Because when you're uncomfortable to some degree, as far as what you're doing, that's going to lead to some type of growth, because you're doing something new, you're doing something unfamiliar to you, and that's going to allow you to grow your mind, to grow your perception, to grow your awareness about that particular experience, right? But a person, a lazy person, they're so catering to that. They love that comfort zone so much that comfort zone just become where they are permanently and stuff like that, right? And any device, anything that can be used to keep them in comfort, they will gladly jump into it, because now that's the state of being that they want to be in. Because now that's the state of being that they want to be in. And that's going to be the easier thing to do. You don't have to sit on the couch and let yourself get programmed by a bunch of information, a bunch of awarenesses from the, you know, the TV media or whatever. That doesn't take any type of work. You have to sit your ass down and let yourself get programmed. That doesn't take any type of effort. See, the mind itself is going to seek comfort. The mind itself is going to go towards comfort and shit like that, right? And that's going to be the easier thing to do. You don't have to sit on the couch and let yourself get programmed by a bunch of information, a bunch of awarenesses from the, you know, the TV media or whatever. That doesn't take any type of work. You have to sit your ass down and let yourself get programmed. That doesn't take any type of effort. See, they're resonating with. That's what they're comfortable with. Like, it's easier to be comfortable than uncomfortable. When you see being a zombie in society, they look like their life has been drained from them and shit like that. It's because they're not breathing life into anything new. They keep giving their mind, they keep giving their awareness, they keep giving their energy into shit that's taking away their life force from them. So they're not taking their time and energy and investing into some shit every day that's gonna add up towards that ideal life. No, contrary to that, actually, they're taking that time and energy and investing that shit in stuff that's not creating that ideal life. They're purposely, in fact, using their time and energy and investing that shit into behaviors, habits that are not gonna add up to that life. Because the thing is, most people are already self-defeated before the battle itself already starts, right? Where before you even have a new experience, before you even do something in life, you might already convince yourself of how that experience is getting ready to, what's getting ready to happen in that experience and stuff like that, right? Just based upon whatever preconceived notion that you have, right? Like, a lot of the times everyone bases their future based upon the past that they've known, because an is always going to be better than an unknown heaven. Like, you're telling me, like, man, you think the slaves in Pharaoh's time, let's say they were real, because they probably were, right? Man, you think the slaves were gonna follow Moses into the desert and be like, yeah, bro, let's start a civilization that's built? Nah, man. The slaves, they're like, nah, bro. I can sit here, work for Pharaoh. Pharaoh's already got the systems. He's got the farms. He's got everything. So why the fuck am I here and try to overwork myself about some shit that, some shit that I'd rather be comfortable anyways? Because the only reason Pharaoh was in the position that he was in, or like any other ruler, is because they did a bunch of shit and they created this. If you let your life be dictated by what's being presented to you, like if someone is always invested into being entertained, if someone is always invested in entertainment, because what does entertainment do? It's like, okay, you're having fun, but what are you having fun? Is that shit some shit outside of it? I'm talking about just like watching the basketball team, watching the soccer team, and shit like that, right? Always rooting for something else outside of them. People are always rooting for the next presidential candidate. People are always rooting for their favorite baseball player. People are always rooting for everything outside of themselves except them very damn selves. In fact, you could be up that's on your way and you're doing your purpose and stuff like that, right? People might decide, man, I'm a root for you more than I'm a root for myself. But a lot of times it doesn't happen. Remember, it's a crab pull the other crab down type of world, where even if you want to be successful, the people around you, they're not going to want that from you, because you're going to have to operate from a new space. And when they're previewed space, they're not going to like that, because like if you're trying to operate from an act of success, you're trying to like have more life to you, you're trying to like add value to your life, you're trying to actually just expand your awareness, expand your life, man, you're going to be people. Because look, the person that's not doing that, they're convinced of their behavior, convinced of their thoughts, feelings, they're convinced of that pattern, and they're gonna project that pattern on you. So it's like, no one wants you to succeed as much as you. That's why only you can see yourself want to succeed. Like, you can't expect anyone else to want that for you. In fact, you can't even give your attention and energy and awareness at some point to all this robotic that be going around us and stuff like that, right? Because everyone is operating from this mentality, let me give my energy to some institution, to some person, place, or thing outside of me, because I don't have the ability myself to secure that future I say I want, right? So people are living for stuff outside of them. People are not living for, their own internal world and stuff. Like, people are not living for their own ideas. Like, if you have a vision on your mind and you want to seek out that future, you want to be careful what vision you go down upon, because the mind is just bringing our own subconscious, unconscious awareness. And if it's an awareness that doesn't allow you to live a life of purpose, if it's an awareness that doesn't allow you to be the best you, then that's going to be that you might not want to subject yourself to and shit like that, So you really got to be careful, not only when it comes to dealing with your mind, you also got to be careful dealing with the minds of other people, because everyone is running a program. A lot of people are not free from the programming of this world. So when you're dealing with people, you got to remember you're dealing with a mind, and that mind is programmed a particular way. That mind's programming is not headed in the same direction as you, then that might be used to take you down. Like let's say you're dealing with your family and shit like that, right? Say you're dealing with your family, but if your awareness, the mind, um, is on some loser shit, what you think your family is gonna try to tell you to subliminally, subconsciously be and do? They're gonna tell you to be a loser too, because that's what they're doing. So of course that's what they're gonna want you to do. If someone is a bum, of course they're gonna want you to be a bum along with them, because that person has always been a bum their whole life. So it's like all of a sudden you're coming out, you're diligent, you're hardworking, you're sacrificing yourself for your purpose, and you're living amongst a whole group of people not sacrificing themselves for their purpose. What you think is going to happen? Of course, these people try to pull you down, try to subliminally, subconsciously attack you, because they're picking up that you're not subjected under the framing, under the bias programming, whatever bias program they be lost into of this world. So when you're not invested in that yourself, other people will pick that up from you and be like, why is this person's ways not like my ways? Like a zombie is always seeking comfort. A zombie is always trying to make their life easy. A zombie's never trying to go the hard route. A zombie's always trying to go down the path that's been outlined for them. But a zombie will never experience anything new. A zombie will inspire someone else to create a new reality. A zombie will always inspire you to jump into the matrix just like them. And the matrix is just a limited system, a limited way of thinking and feeling. That's what this whole matrix, let me limit you on what is possible, right? And I'm gonna tell you what is possible, right? And you're gonna have to jump into those sets of possibilities of what I told you what is possible, and you're gonna have to live your life like that, right? But that's the thing though, right? Living your life like that is just limitations. Because if I tell you, you need to pray 5 times a day, if I tell you all these different things, but that's something I'm telling you, right? Like religious people will tell you, you need to practice this ritual. People in the education system will tell you, hey, you need to study this way. Your mom and dad will tell you, hey, marry this type of person, because they're all programmed in that particular way. So of course they're gonna take that programming and put you on the same programming too. But you gotta look at what is that programming manifesting? Is it programming? Is that shit manifesting a life of regret, resentment, self-hatred, a lack of self-love? What is the starting point of that programming, right? Yeah, what's up, Creative Solution 7.0? I haven't seen you in a while, real shit. But yeah, it's like, what is that because a lot of these zombies, a lot of these people that you see in real life, they don't, it's like all their energy goes into pre-existed outline of society that's already being presented for them, meaning that they are not a candidate that can create a new possibility in this unlimited reality, because they've already limited themselves and subjected to themselves to what they're perceiving, basically. And that what you're perceiving is limitation. A thought and a feeling, that's a containment and a form. You can have many different forms of these things. And if the thoughts and feelings that you're speaking up is some low awareness, low vibrational, insecurity, incapability, I don't know how, I can't do something, then you might want to get outside of that programming, because that programming is not allowing you to live that ideal lifestyle, right? Because you got to remember, that ideal lifestyle is going to take sacrifice. It's going to take sacrificing all these old behaviors, all these old habits, all these feelings that are not taking you towards your purpose. And then when you remove that shit from yourself, you allow space for something new to come to you, right? Where it's not like you have something outside of you coming to you. It's just you creating that reality that you want to experience outwardly. Because whatever it is that you resonate with, that's going to be the people, places, and things that you attract. Think about your earliest group of friends. You met those people based upon what you resonated with. But the moment you change yourself, the moment you start to be into something new, the moment that, let's say, you met your friends based on the set point of trauma, the moment you don't resonate with that trauma anymore, you're going to have to go create a whole new group of friends, because you're not in that cycle of thoughts and feelings that lead you to manifesting those people, at those places, doing those things. Now you're operating based on a whole new mindset. Now you got a whole new mind on your mind and shit like that, and shit like that, right? So you're gonna have to go find a whole new circumstance, because you're no longer resonating with, right? And people get scared of change. People get scared of like unfamiliarity, you know, because the mind is always seeking what's familiar. The mind is always seeking comfort, and that familiarity, that comfort can be in the form of friends, families, thoughts and feelings, states of being, all types of shit, right? So the more you normalize this shit, you're gonna be subjected under this shit. But you gotta understand, you're the programmer of this shit. You're the coder. Your spirit is generating that script, that sigil, that sign and shit like that, right? So you gotta redirect your awareness so you can have some new type of trajectory. So now the thoughts and things that are coming up, the habits, the behaviors that are being generated is some shit that's catering to that and shit like that, right? Yeah, unfamiliar territory. A lot of people get scared of the dark. People scared of like their own shadow. So people don't do the subconscious, the shadow and shit like that. And look at what's wrong with them. They rather like, and like let alone go to a place, deal with a person, do something that's unfamiliar to you. The mind will be like, oh nah man, God forbid that. And you can't blame the mind, right? That's the nature of the mind. The nature of the mind is to seek familiarity, and so you can't blame it. But once you know your own nature, once you know yourself enough, once you know who you are and shit like that, you're always gonna know the things that you're gonna deal with. Like for me, for example, right? It's only a few things that I'm always gonna deal with, right? Now, let's use numerology for a second. I'm 4-2-6 numerology, life path 6. So 4, responsibility, practicality. When I don't do that on a positive end, I might become a very irresponsible person. Now 2, if I'm not being peaceful, I might become a very angry person. 6, not being very compassionate, I might become a very resentful, hateful person. So you're always dealing with the same things. You're just dealing with you, and you're not unfamiliar with you. You could just live for the outside world for so long, you could start to fight you, right? Because at the end of the day, you're dealing with you all the time. You're gonna have to deal with yourself. To deal with other people better, you have to learn to deal with yourself, right? So you're always gonna have to deal with yourself at the end of the day. And the better you can deal with your subconscious utterance and keep these things in check, and you are the writer of those things, then man, you're a bad motherfucker. Because at that point, you're no longer being subjected to the narrative, the subconscious script. Now you're creating the narrative, you're creating the subconscious script, and now you're creating the reality based upon your own mentality. You're allowing yourself to be perceptive about what's going on in the circumference space that you're dealing with, right? Because look, a lot of people like to get lost in family. I'm not saying family's bad, but a lot of the times your own family can be the motherfuckers that's stabbing you in the back, like vibrationally on some shit. Because it's not like your mom and dad don't love you. It's that a lot of the times they might not have done something for themselves in their life, so subconsciously they might start to, you know, limit you in some way, shape, or form with whatever it is that they're manifesting with their mind. Because yeah, don't think your friends are your friends. Don't think your family is your family. Don't think your boss is your boss at work. Don't think your girlfriend is your girlfriend. No, these guys are here to manage you in line based upon whatever it is that, because you met these people for a reason. And if you met these people at a low vibrational set point, then keep you at that low vibrational set point. Believe that. Believe that. Shit like, right? But you gotta be able to meet yourself first at that higher self, or that ideal life. And that ideal life, that higher self, is going to require you to sacrifice all the things the lower self is into, as far as us being into an animalistic nature, being lazy and stuff like that. To get the ideal life, you're going to have to be the ideal man and the ideal woman. And to be the ideal man, the ideal woman, it's going to require you to sacrifice all things that don't allow you to reach that space in the first place. Right? And that's all it is, man. But yeah, with that being said, I'm just out here at work now, and yeah, I'm gonna see y'all on today's live. I'll be live again at around lunchtime. So that shit's gonna be like probably 6 hours from now. All right, love everybody. Peace out, and I'm gonna see y'all at lunchtime. All right, peace.